Welcome back to MedTech's Biomed Regional Focus 2022 as we continue our conversations about life sciences and healthcare opportunities and innovations in the Rochester and Finger Lakes region. As we continue our discussion with innovators, I'm pleased to be joined by Dave Borkholder with Casana, also known as Casana Care. Dave is the Chief Research Officer at Casana. Dave, I'm glad to have you with us. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Win.
So let's begin where I like to begin these conversations. Tell us, if you can, Dave, what's the problem that you guys set out to solve?
Yeah, sure. So we've seen even before COVID, there's been a shift in focus to preventative healthcare. And so to do that effectively, you really need to take measurements and monitoring of patients outside of the clinic or hospital and shift that into the home. And with COVID, we've seen that accelerate, right? So that shift is accelerating. We're trying to do more and more. And one of the challenges that we see is most solutions that are available today require the patient to change their behaviors. So they need to take a measurement, or they need to remember to charge a device or wear a device or step on a device. And often these patients, especially those that are dealing with chronic illnesses, they're dealing with symptoms, they're dealing with medication management, and one more step results in lack of adherence. And so we set out to create a suite of devices that really don't require the user to change their behaviors, right? So if Casana is successful, the less you think about us, the better we're doing our job.
So let's dive a little deeper into that. Tell me about your solution. How do your products work?
Yeah, so our first product is called the Heart Seat. That's a cardiovascular monitoring toilet seat. So this is a device that has three primary sensors in it. We have an electrocardiogram, which most people are familiar with. Our seat has two titanium electrodes that you can see on the surface, and that measures the electrical activity of the heart. We have a photoplasmogram, which measures local blood volume, and then a device called a ballistic cardiogram. And so we have four really sensitive force sensors that are built into the bumpers on the underside of the toilet seat. And those measure the mechanical activity of the heart in pumping of blood. And so with those three sensors, there's a lot of things that we can do. Our first product that we'll take to market will have vital signs of heart rate, SpO2 or blood oxygenation, and blood pressure.
And am I correct in understanding this is used as one would normally use a toilet seat? There's no need to strap yourself in or activate it in any way?
That's correct. You sit down, it automatically gathers data. It identifies if it is the target patient. And then that data is automatically transmitted to the cloud, where our algorithms extract out those clinical parameters. And we have a user interface that allows a clinician to be able to view that data. So it all happens automatically with no proactive effort on the part of the patient.
So I'm curious to get your thoughts, Dave. And we chatted a little bit before we started recording. There's an interesting, I think, throughput or theme to some of the innovators that we've been talking to recently, and that really all seems to center around patient empowerment. And it occurs to me that the ability to reliably and regularly monitor symptoms and conditions at home really is of a piece with that larger picture. Tell me a little bit more about kind of your vision of how patients, as we move into the future, will interact with caregivers and interact with their own health conditions.
Yeah, I think it's a great observation when and what we see is that when patients are empowered with more information about their health, they can make decisions to improve their health. And I think we've seen that somewhat with the electronic medical record and our ability to see test results. Our vision for the company is really to transform the way we deliver healthcare in the home. And all of our technologies are really focused around effortless in-home monitoring. So solving that adherence challenge, because if we're going to monitor in the home, and if that's going to have an impact and empower those patients, you need to be able to gather the data. So we're going to have a data set that is unlike any data set that exists today, because you're getting measurements on those subjects multiple times a day, every day, just when they sit down to use the toilet like normal. So the first product is the heart seat, but we have plans to build an entire suite of products around that, all with that focus on not adding any burden to the patient. So that first product with those vital signs that I mentioned of heart rate, blood oxygen, and blood pressure, we're going to target hypertension initially, and we think that can have a big impact. It's a major problem in the United States. It's known as a silent killer. It impacts over 108 million Americans, and a large percentage of those either go undiagnosed or their hypertension is not adequately controlled with medication. So that can lead to higher risk of heart disease and stroke, which are the leading causes of death in the US. So that's where we'll start. And we think that this technology is going to add a lot of value for managing a broad range of other chronic conditions. And again, the key is that we're effortless. It's invisible to the patient, fits into your everyday life, so that we're able to gather that data in a very consistent way.
And tell me, if you can, where are you in terms of product development, go to market? Give me a sense of where the company is at this point.
Absolutely. We're actually we've completed two of our three validation studies that are required for our FDA submission. We're in the process of developing that submission, and so we have to go through FDA clearance for this medical device, and that'll be happening in this calendar year.
Let's change our focus a bit, Dave. Let me focus a little bit on you and the team at Casana. We've had some fascinating conversations with entrepreneurs, with innovators who, frankly, across upstate New York, come from a variety of backgrounds. Folks who have been in the entrepreneurial space, folks who are new to the entrepreneurial space, folks who have spent their lives here in upstate New York, and those who have come to upstate New York from other places in the world. Give us a sense with you and your team. What's your journey been?
Yeah, so I started involvement in startup companies in Silicon Valley in the mid '90s, and so I was involved in a DNA diagnostics company that we had a successful IPO, and a ultrasound company, and so those were great experiences as a young professional. And I chose about 18 years ago to transition to academia. And I had developed a lab at RIT, and our focus was really about, we focused on research that had a strong need and had the potential to be commercialized. So I started my own company. This is the first that I had started, was Black Box Biometrics, and we make wearable sensors for the military. So soldiers wear them, they measure exposure and explosive blast. And that's been very successful. Our technology at Casana also was developed in my lab at RIT. So Nick Kahn, who's our founder, he was my PhD student, and we were brainstorming ways that we could do cardiovascular monitoring in the home, identified adherence as a primary barrier to doing that effectively, and then brainstormed what are the ways that you can address that. So a toilet seat, people use it every day. You get skin contact. It's a large surface area. And so we then began to brainstorm what are the different things that we could put into this. And so that Nick focused on that for his PhD and his postdoc, and we ultimately founded the company. So the company was founded in 2018. Nick worked hard to raise our initial capital, and then we had investment from General Catalyst in Austin McCord in 2020, and Austin joined as our CEO. And so the folks in this area might be familiar with Austin. He is also an RIT grad. I'm an RIT grad from undergrad. Nick is as well, and so he had a very successful company that he started as an undergraduate in cybersecurity, and he's joined our team here and is really excited to make this even more successful than what he has done previously.
So getting back to your story, right? You're an RIT grad. So you've got some grounding in the Rochester Finger Lakes region. You head off to Silicon Valley. What brought you back, and what can you tell us? Certainly, the tech culture in Silicon Valley is well known, probably better known than the tech culture in upstate New York. Can you compare and contrast them?
Yeah, I'll attempt to. So the draw for me to come back, I really wanted to drive my own research. At that time, RIT was really transitioning from what had been a primarily undergraduate institution to really focus on research. And I thought that they RIT had very strong programs. It was very application based. And I thought that was a unique opportunity to focus research in areas that could ultimately drive new companies and spin out technologies. It is different. The tech culture is different. Silicon Valley is a really unique place. There are so many companies and so many technical professionals all concentrated in a very small area, and that creates certainly an excitement around entrepreneurship and innovation, and we don't have that exactly here. It's a little bit different, but we have incredible talent, and so I think what you see are pockets where there is that same energy, and I think that many of the companies that you've been interviewing would be representative of that. So you have leaders that are driving innovation, and they're creating the cultures within their companies that I think is very akin to what you see in a place like Silicon Valley. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for us here, and I think as we have more successes, that we'll see that culture continues to spread and grow in this region. And then you can couple that with all the incredible advantages of this region in terms of it's a great place to raise a family, a relatively low cost of living, et cetera. And those are things that are incredibly challenging in Silicon Valley.
And then I guess you've certainly talked about kind of your birthplace at RIT. Were there other programs, connections, partners that you were able to find in the region or across upstate New York that have been helpful to you as you've grown this company?
Yeah, so we've been fortunate to partner with the University of Rochester early on in terms of this development. One of our co-founders is part of the URMC, and so a lot of our early stage exploration has clinical grounding that was really enabled by those collaborations. Subsequently, we partnered with them on clinical studies as well. And I think that Rochester also has provided some real talent with both the RIT and the University of Rochester as major institutions here. We're able to get the breadth of talent that we need to advance and collaborate.
And in the few seconds that we have remaining, we've got an audience learning perhaps about Casana for the first time for some of them. Let me give you an opportunity. If you had one ask of our audience or one ask for the company, what is it that folks watching today might be able to bring to your venture?
Yeah, so I think if you take a look at our website, which is casanacare.com, there's two things I would ask. We have you can see our technologies and our objectives, and for us to fully leverage the capability of this technology, we need partners that have expertise in different disease states. So there may be opportunities for us to collaborate on clinical studies. And the other is we're hiring rapidly. We're rapidly growing. You'll see a number of opportunities there. It's a great environment to work in. It's fast paced. It's exciting, and you would work with lots of really smart people. So I'd ask you to take a look at that, and maybe you know somebody that fits, or maybe you are looking to make a change.
Well, Dave Borkholder, this has been terrific. Again, for our audience, if you want to learn more about Casana or connect with Dave and the team, and certainly for those of you who may have some leads on bright employees or are looking for a change, you can find them at Casana Care. So that's CASANACARE.com. Dave Borkholder, Chief Research Officer, thank you for spending some time with us today. Best of luck. We'll keep our eyes out for future developments from Casana. It's been our pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Wayne.